Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we have yet another World of Warcraft expansion leak, or we'll just put quotes to those words. But yeah, apparently it is the season of leaks. Everybody's coming up with some sort of leak of their own, and they are all very interesting to read. I don't know if you guys believe in any of these leaks, but whether you do or don't, I do like to read them because if anything, they're usually not leaks. If anything, it's usually some sort of a fan theory or a fan fantasy of what they hope the new expansion is going to be. Usually they're just wishful thinking with great ideas, but usually they are ideas taken from what we have right now in the current patch cycle, in the current point of the expansion, and extrapolating on little details and trying to build an expansion from them. Usually it is something that people would love to see to be the new expansion, but not exactly a guarantee for the new expansion. We're also probably going to hear several same old themes that other leaks have talked about, like N'Zoth or Old Gods or I don't know, Tinkerers, and maybe even the level squish. So we are going to have certain things that community is already kind of expecting out of the next expansion, and this leak, of course, has to have these things in there to make it seem more credible and likely. But let's read through this quote-unquote leak and see what is the likely possibility of this maybe turning out to be the next future WoW expansion. Starting off with World of Warcraft, the name Shadowlands. Pretty sure this is the working title, but I don't know, Shadowlands just doesn't sound like a WoW expansion. 2 new continents, Dragon Isles and Shadowlands. New class, of course. Tinker DPS with turrets, bombs, and a Ghost Buster gimmicks. So that's a little new than the other leaks. Also, healer and tank specs, uses male armor, primary stat is intellect as a tank, would be interesting. Vestiges of power, a secondary talent system a la artifact slash essences. So is that a system of choice, or is that a system of just fill up the talent sheet like the artifact weapons did? Level squish postponed, no world revamp. New scaling tag that will do away with the frequent item level and stat squishing. I wonder what that would look like. Raid tier sets are not returning, but there will be class-specific challenge sets. Ooh, that would be kind of cool to see, like a Mage Tower challenge set for each specific class, kind of like how Mists of Pandaria had the challenge mode dungeons. Champion system, where we reunite with the spirits of fallen heroes, Uther, Cairn, Vol'jin, Varian, Saurfang, Ronin, etc., but also certain villains. The old gods are not dead, they're sleeping in Neolotha. N'Zoth has been redirecting souls to fuel the old gods' ascension back into the world. The Black Empire will rise again very soon. This is what Azara saw when she died. So the Shadowlands, I guess, is what we want to talk about first. The Shadowlands is the place that you go to with your character whenever you die. Whether you die from a fall or die from an enemy attacking you and you're in the spirit realm, that is the Shadowlands, in a sense, at least in the game's format. But Shadowlands also has a lot more of a sentimental value. Like, for example, that Lich King actually gains the rule of the Shadowlands with the help of Valkyr. It is basically where the dead go. Next, we're going to move on to the Forces of Death, aka Death's Vanguard, Elune and Helia, which is the woman with I guess the tentacles from Legion, and others are working together to fight the Void incursion into the Shadowlands. Bolvar brings us there. Sylvanas, Bolvar being the new Lich King, Sylvanas has been honoring a pact, waging war in Helia's name, which is what they kind of sort of were trying to set up something between Sylvanas and Helia way before, so maybe. Elune's Night Warrior also transports the souls of its victims to the Shadowlands. Alliance has been inadvertently helping the war against the old gods in the Shadowlands. They'll be reunited with all the casualties, almost. Bonsandi is working for Hakar, the Soul Flare, who seeks power for himself also by consuming souls. Old gods. The Void exploited the defeat of Argus to gain access to the Shadowlands. Xal'atath may have sold us out. Neolotha is threatened by the advance of Death's forces. N'Zoth instigated by the battle for Azeroth to cause death and consume more souls. Sylvanas propagated the war to usher souls towards Helia instead of Neolotha. So then you have all these different, I guess, forces of death and forces of the void trying to muster as much souls and power. Now that would be an interesting idea where you have two amazing and powerful forces, unstoppable force versus unmovable object type of deal, colliding against one another. This is actually what I was kind of hoping the next expansion might be, as just a fan of the World of Warcraft series. So I'm kind of afraid how scarily this lines up to what I was thinking maybe the new expansion could be. But if I thought of this, then there's a good chance that somebody else thought of this that's also another fan of WoW. So this doesn't reinforce the idea that this could potentially be an expansion, but even more further for me that somebody else has exactly the same weird ideas as I do, so even less chance for it to be a real expansion. We continue on with the Darkfront, starting point for Shadowlands. 3 minor factions: Night Elves, Death Knights, Helya, and Sylvanas. Helya is kinder now and prettier. Main goal is to prevent Ny'alotha from consuming the souls of the fallen. Huge rivers of souls run through each zone. I kind of like how they added a little bit extra of, the rivers of souls to paint a little bit more of a picture of what this place would look like. Although, imagining a full zone that's all about rivers of souls being all gloomy in the expansion where we go to the Shadowlands, which has to deal with, I guess, death in World of Warcraft and stuff, and spirits of the afterlife, I feel like all the zones would be really gloomy and really dark. Don't know if I would personally enjoy that because I'm not a huge fan of the zones that look super gloomy all the time, except Drustvar. Drustvar was definitely a little bit of a variety with the snow and stuff. Morbara, is that how you say it? All the blood trolls we killed in Nazmir are here. Bonsumdi has been robed into working for Hakar the Soul Flare. So that's kind of bringing back from, I believe, Vanilla. We need him to overthrow Hakar and reclaim his title as the Loa of Death. We also have something about Alnir of Riftlands, a crucible of the primordial energies that comprise the fabric of all realities, with portals to each one. Everything is spilling out, in and out of rifts. Source of void incursions on Dragon Isles and Emerald Dream. I'm not a huge fan of just how broken everything is. Kind of, some of these sentences don't really roll off the tongue super easily when it comes to saying them out loud. I feel like if you were to try to make spoilers for the expansion, why is it all structured the same way? All these spoilers are very similar in terms of the grammatical structure. Is it just me, or has anybody else noticed that? Then we have Zeros, semi-peaceful zone where spirits go to rest according to lore. Main city and sanctuary is here, lots of quest lines and 2 dungeons. Greek-inspired a la Hades front yard. Ethereals have a big presence here. Ooh, I kind of personally like the idea for this zone. We also have some more bits of content, like there will be likely 9 dungeons total at launch, 5 in Shadowlands, 4 on Dragon Isles, no names for them yet. And finally, Dragon Isles. Don't know much, but it has Void Dragons. We will help rebuild Black Dragonflight storyline for each dragon aspect. Would have loved a preposition in any part of that sentence. Now this league tries to be a little bit different than others. A couple things it talks about is Tinkerer. Some people saying it's maybe a 2-spec class, and these guys are like, hey, it's a tank that uses intellect, at least what it seems like. They also talk about a couple of key features like the level squish, instead of other leagues talking about, yes, we are going to be squishing the level system. These guys are like, nope, that's postponed. But they are talking about a new scaling system. I think this league tries to be a little bit different than others. It's trying to take what others are talking about, but it says, no, that's actually not happening. This is actually happening. This is how it's being done, but very differently than most people expect, to maybe build up its quality here, or maybe build up its believability, I guess is the best word I can use. Then for the story, they actually extrapolate Vol'jin as a spirit in BFA story and trying to make it a whole expansion, or at least that's how it feels. If you guys never played the story, I don't think a lot of people even played. Most people have seen a YouTube video of it, but basically you find out the Vol'jin's spirit is not quite alive, not quite dead. He's kind of just wandering in the Shadowlands. It's almost like his character died and just can't find the body to resurrect that, and there's no spirits to help him get a res, even with a debuff. So you go to Bonsumdi, ask him, hey, why is Vol'jin like this? You go to Lich King and be like, hey, why is Vol'jin like this? Then you go to Aer from Legion, ask her, hey, why is Vol'jin like this? So you go to these, I guess, characters that has to do with afterlife, and you ask, why is Vol'jin this way? And a lot of them are very cryptic about it. So it feels like somebody decided to take that idea and decided, hey, what if all the heroes in World of Warcraft universe that ever passed are in a similar situation. What if we made an expansion after that idea? What if we were to pit the armies of what looks like undead with Halia and Lich King attacking and fighting the Void, two unstoppable forces, and you as Alliance of Horde are in the middle of the conflict trying to figure out the best plan. So maybe so you don't have the undead Scourge Uprising of Wrath of Lich King all over again, but you also don't have the Void gods, old gods just destroying the world itself. So that's kind of how I feel that they were trying to go with this leak. It's actually quite a cool idea to see Lich King come back and maybe the forces of Undead, which is one unstoppable force, and then the Void Gods, which is the second unstoppable force. When they clash, what happens? I think it would be a cool idea to see, but that's where I think this leak is kind of going with. It's just cool ideas, although I'm surprised just how similar they are to my own ideas. They actually also provide us a map of what the zones might look like. And first of all, we'll take a look at this shot. I feel like this is way too perfectly captured. It looks like almost it's some sort of a presentation, like in a dark room, and somebody was fumbling with the phone and barely got the camera out to take this angle of a shot. It is just so perfect. You can take a look at all the details of this shot and you can actually see certain aspects. At the top left, you have the words layout, which I would imagine those are the words because Y-O-U-T, what else could complete it? And they are all in the World of Warcraft font to make you believe like this is real. The logo for Shadowlands has an eye at the top to make you think, oh, old gods, because what else has a billion eyes? Although the color scheme and the word Shadowlands, something about it just doesn't really fit to me. It's hard to tell if it's Photoshop because I don't have that kind of experience in Photoshop, but something about it just doesn't fit with me. You have a zone called Vol'jin's Rest at the bottom left, which of course will bring in Vol'jin. They also on this map have a couple landmarks which looks like mountains or temples, and they are marked as raids, usually with prefixes like we usually do, like Battle for Dalaran. Nobody called it Battle for Dalaran. Most people just called it BOD, so they have the similar prefixes, like here is GOS Raid. Smack dab down the middle of the map, they decided to plop in Ny'alotha to remind everybody that this is the main place that everybody's excited when it comes to old gods. Next to Ny'alotha, we have a marker for D. While trying to figure out what this marker could be, I got pointed this out to me that this is probably location of the dungeons, and there's a couple of these markers all over the map. At the bottom of the map, we have Blood Waste, what looks like a PvP zone or some sort of a PvP arena area. So it's interesting where they decide to frame the location of those letters. Couple hotspots in this shot, we have Shurak's camp, which makes you think of Naga, maybe going from BFA Nagas to more the next expansion. Nagas are continuing to be a recurring theme, and they have the Shadowguard Beach, which probably has to do with maybe Death Knights. When it comes to this screenshot, I feel like it's too perfectly framed. It makes you go on a scavenger hunt to make you spend more time with it, but the more time you spend with it, the more you believe that, oh hey, that could actually be an expansion, because it's kind of a fun activity. All these little things, but maybe that is how a lot of the World of Warcraft presentation maps look like. We just have no idea. I'm just going off of my gut feeling, and my gut feeling says this is a really cool creative idea that somebody put together, but it's just so perfect. It's maybe way too good to be true. It's framed so perfectly that there's enough information where nothing major is cut off, and even if it's cut off, you get to see a little bit of it, like the Blood Waste PvP, as somebody who loves PvP in WoW. It's just, the quality is not bad enough where you actually can't see nothing. You actually can see enough, but not with full clarity. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is potentially a real map that somebody actually took a screenshot in a presentation and we're just seeing the future of World of Warcraft WoW? Or this is just something kind of set up on purpose to make you believe? Although I do love the idea of the scavenger hunt. I actually had a lot of fun looking through all the parts. It's like, what could be? What could possibly be? Looking at all these names and plugging them into the WoW wiki to see if they have any kind of semblance. And a lot of them do. Whoever designed this definitely is creative, whether it's a real thing or not. But my gut says this isn't real. So here, I'm just gonna pass it off to you guys. What do you think? I'm thinking that, nah, this isn't real. This is a lot of wishful thinking and really cool ideas. I just feel like we haven't had enough content in WoW to extrapolate and going from battle for Azeroth, where we're fighting Horde versus Alliance. Now we're fighting Ajara. Of course, N'Zoth escapes, but how would Blizzard go and link the Shadowlands and the Spirits of the Dead and Helya and the Lich King back into this? That'll be interesting, but I guess we'll find out come patch 8.3, or maybe we won't even have patch 8.3. Maybe after patch 8.2.5 we'll have a pre-patch into the next expansion. We don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But with more information coming out as patch 8.2.5 PTL will roll out, there's probably will be some sort of story quest line to set you up for the next patch in the future or WoW. So for now, just too little information to tell. From what I'm seeing, this is very cool, and a lot of work has been put into making this leak. Whether it's real or not, if it's not real, it's at least very creative, and I really appreciate whoever put this together. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.